But one thing that's changed over the past couple of years is just the fact that whenever you like put it in your head or like you put a stamp in your brain or just your mindset in general that that you can do something and you actually do deserve everything that you're going after, regardless of how hard it may be or just whatever doubt you might feel in your head. Because I feel like, you know, like over a few years ago and stuff, I feel like it kind of just clicked to me this one day, just and I just thought to myself, like I do deserve this and that, like that I am striving towards, and I feel like if you're someone like me that kind of has struggled with like self-confidence and just like just like being socially awkward, just kind of being I guess you can just call it like an outsider. I'm not trying to be on some like corny shit, but like you get what I'm saying though, like just kind of more to yourself and just you're very much I don't know, introspective and just I don't know, when you're at a certain age and stuff, especially like when you're younger, you don't really like understand your emotions, and so you can't like if you don't understand your emotions, you can't like translate it into whatever it is that you're trying to like like talk about or just like put into like into any perspective. But I just feel like ever since I started to think, yeah, I do deserve this. Like I feel like the like just the energy that's given back to me like actually is being reciprocated because I feel like I've been doing art for like a while now, and I feel like I never really um like I only ever got any reciprocation out of it until after I truly like believe that I can make a living off of this, or just like I believe that I'm good, I'm talented, or I'm good enough to be in like this profession or just whatever it may be. Because I know if you're someone that is striving to like not just be an artist but just someone that is very ambitious and just very like just very mindset driven and just self improving in general. I feel like it's not really about in a way it's not really about the dream. When you do it more, it's kind of like I feel like it's not really talked about as much when people like follow their dreams, and I feel like when people follow their dreams, and the reason I feel like why people don't really believe in themselves too is because they kind of like I feel like all of our whole life pretty much with everything going on, all the lies that the government, just everything that has been given to us all our lives, like I feel like the worst thing you can do is pretty much be going the stable route, and I'm not saying that is necessarily a bad thing, because I'm not saying everybody has to like be an artist or have a business, or just like whatever, or like you got to have a bunch of money. But it's just crazy to think about because I feel like people just they get self-sabotage into believing that they can't do something because the system kind of like makes them think that they can't do a lot of the things because all like all like you hear about all the time someone wanting to be like, let's say a rapper, or like somebody that wants to do art, or just in general like not really going the traditional route. And what you notice is that people usually say that, oh, like why don't you just get a regular job or be realistic, or like go to a trade school or like go to college and stuff. And those are very fair points. But the thing is that in this day and age in 2026, it's like, do you really think that being stable is the best option? I feel like the world is already unstable. It's very uncertain. So it's like in a way you might as well just be uncertain with it. Like you might as well like fucking, because at the end of the day you can't control nothing. And maybe before it did work on the last generation, and they're sold like this idea of like the American dream, and how like obviously you've heard it fucking a million times, oh, go to school, college, get a job, wife, kids, boom, that was life, you know. But I feel like it's not very so much black and white like that anymore. And it's like with everything happening in the world with like massive layoffs, AI just dominating right now. With every company wants to put their eggs in one basket with AI, you know, and it's pretty uncertain, you know, when what the direction of AI is going into, considering of how much they're trying to replace people. And it's kind of crazy because the same people that defend the system right now, or at least like try to neglect the facts or whatever is given in front of them, those are gonna be the same people that are pretty much gonna be wiped out once like, AI starts getting implemented into everything we do. It's already here as it is, you know. It's not like, oh, AI is coming. No, AI is like right here, right now, you know. And I feel like that's something that people need to really be aware of, you know. And I'm not trying to sit here and be like, oh well, I'm fucking, doing this and that, so you should too. I'm not saying, but I'm also just saying to also be aware of it, because I feel like with whatever like skill you want to learn, or whatever, whether it's a business, or doing art, or just, like a more of like a labor job or any job. I feel like i feel like maybe looking more into it when it comes to like, will it be replaced and stuff. Like, for example, I'm a graphic designer, and pretty much like obviously everybody knows that like you can just go on Google or any ChatGPT AI chatbot and just make your own logo, make your own flyers. I've seen fucking many businesses and people like using AI logos and flyers and just like everything, when it comes to that. And it's just kind of crazy because I've been doing graphic design since I was like, I would say like 15 or 16 years old. And it's just kind of crazy because like I remember when AI just kind of came about, it was like a new thing, and pretty much like it was laughed at, and now it's like, and just the span of this was like what, 2022, 2021, 2023, I forgot. It was like 2022 probably. But anyways, point is it's only been a few years that AI has been out already, and it's already, taking over jobs, like you saw with like Oracle, laying off, I think like 30,000 fucking employees, which is crazy. And it's crazy to think about, because it's like, do these companies not even fucking realize that they're like the very people that built the very foundation of all of these companies, especially AI, they're the ones getting replaced first. So it's just crazy because you have all of these like very highly trained, like, scholars, or maybe they're not a scholar, maybe they just learned about it. But either way, they're all of them built the foundation that like all these companies are just kind of taking advantage of. And it's just kind of crazy to think about, because like right now I work at a warehouse job while still trying to like do art on the side and stuff like that. And it's like, these are like fucking great genuine people. I'm not saying all of them. Obviously, you got some fucking dickheads at every job there is, but you got honest people, working their ass off, working overtime, for their kids and family. I'm like honestly pretty lucky that, I'm 25 right now, and I got no wife, no kids. I'm still living with parents. I'm very appreciative that, like, the, I guess, the circumstances that were given to me, and I will never take that for granted. But I just feel like that it just sucks because, when you try to like talk to people about it, like in person, or like anybody at work, or just in general, I feel like just most people just don't give a fuck. And that's fine too, because at the end of the day, I'm just bitching and just talking about it. What am I gonna do? I'm just a regular ass person, like I'm pretty much on the same, like, we're all pretty much on the same level, pretty much. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do about it? But I just feel like just being aware is like, gonna help you kind of make better decision making, because I feel like a lot of the people that um are just blind to it, like I said before, I feel like they're gonna be the very first ones to kind of just get let go when it comes to layoffs, or just like in society in general. Because, like, and going back to like, life being uncertain and stuff like that now, I feel like at this point, it's like you might as well just make your own money outside of your job, unless like obviously you want to work at work for a company that you actually enjoy and that you actually love doing whatever it is, and that's fine. Obviously, not everybody needs to be like a business owner or an artist or whatever. I feel like at the end of the day, as long as like you love what you do, the money will just come along with it. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot too in this generation. Because I do feel like, if there's one thing about Gen Z, or just more people in general, I feel like more people are more accepting of just more things. Like, they're more open-minded as to before. Like, if you fucking said in I don't know, like even 2010, oh, like I want to be a fucking artist, like I'm pretty like I wouldn't get the same reception, or I want to make a business, it wouldn't get the same reception as opposed to now, because it's so normal for people wanting to do businesses, which is great. Honestly, I think the more like businesses that there are in general, that's better for competition, and I feel like most people kind of overlook what they can do and just kind of like serve like the world when it comes to just like, their talents or their perspective, or just anything anything in general when it comes to that. So I just feel like just be you might as well just be uncertain during the uncertainty, because I feel like before it was so much easier to kind of get caught up in the routine of, okay, like, well, where life was more black and white, and it was like, okay, you do this, you get that, you get that, you get this, and I feel like now, like, just because you do that, it doesn't mean you might get this, or just because, or vice versa. I feel like there's no ladder. I feel like nowadays, especially with corporate America, or just any sort of business in the world. I feel like right now, it's kind of a weird time, because every company is kind of just dumping all their money into AI and stuff. So I'm kind of just really curious on how it's gonna be in the next 5, 10 years, shit, even like 2 years, and yeah, like what I said, I feel like you just be uncertain during the uncertainty, because it's better to be uncertain than, going the certain route. But what if you never know, like you might get laid off, or just whatever. Because I feel like right now is a perfect chance to just go after what you want to do, and this is for sure a sign to kind of like lock in and kind of just get going on what you want in your life. And this is also a reminder for me as well. I'm not perfect as well, and I try to like have that mindset every day to kind of just, despite like the whole like, the doubting, and just like the whole like is this meant for me? Because I'll still admit, I still a lot of the times think like, oh, I wish I can have this already, or I can be more content. But honestly, I think about it more, and I feel like it's better that, at least for me, that I'm more under pressure, because I feel like, especially nowadays, I do feel the pressure more, and I know that a lot of other people do feel it, especially the economy and stuff like that. But I feel like it's only gonna get worse before it gets better. And I feel like maybe right now, like the world's kind of in a weird spot when it comes to just where we're headed as a society. And honestly, like I know like, this generation doesn't really get like the best like praise when it comes to just like, the year, like, and just our culture now. But if there's one thing about us, I feel like we're more like optimistic. And I feel like that's kind of a stretch, because it does seem like everybody is like more depressed now. But it does seem like in a way you can't help but think that maybe everybody had to feel this way to like get to like improve, if that makes sense, because if I'm being honest, I feel like a lot of the doubt, and just like every negative emotion I ever felt like, prior to everything kind of clicking to me that I deserve it. I feel like every day it felt very like physical, and just very like draining. And like there's a lot of times where I'm not suicidal by any means at all, by the way. But just a lot of times I didn't want to be here because like my thoughts just kind of, it felt like it was just consuming me and that I didn't want to like feel those thoughts anymore. And I feel like it just got to the point where I just woke up and just said fuck it, like you know I just kind of push back on everything I ever thought, because when I think about it, it's like, well, I've been doing this or that for forever now. What's stopped me then, So I feel like at that point, I thought to myself like, well, what's gonna stop me, besides myself? And I feel like a lot of times your mindset is a lot is like I would say half the battle when it comes to going after the things that that you want in your life, because you can have the talent and the money and the energy and the time and stuff like that, but if you don't really like believe in yourself and you don't like kind of portray it in a way that like others find I guess good, or just anything in general, then how do you expect for that to work out, it's kind of going back to when I said that, like, I just everything clicked to me when I just realized that, like, yeah, I do deserve it, because it's like I feel like you can't like be so biased towards your feelings. That makes sense, and that's something I know it's like easier said than done to like not be so biased towards your feelings, because it's like, okay, well, I mean, what do you mean by that? And what I mean by that is, let's say if I'm like feeling like sad or mad or whatever, especially sad. Let's just say you let's just say that you have a bad negative emotion for some reason, which we all do. Kind of like take a step back and kind of like think like, okay, why am I feeling this way? Like maybe, and a lot of times maybe it's not so like in your face, but I feel like the more you question it and just the more you observe it, the more you'll be able to understand like why you feel those things, because it's hard to like to conceptualize your emotions when you're going through it in first person, if that makes sense. So like that's pretty much what I mean when I say take a step back and just kind of see your emotions in third person and kind of try to identify like the root of it, of like why you feel that way. And a lot of times you realize like you really do, and I feel like for me, or maybe you too, like you really do feel like you believe in yourself, but sometimes you don't give yourself the chance to try, because the outside exterior world hasn't given you a reason to feel that way. And I think that's something that plays a role when it comes to also like, going after what you want to. It's just kind of like stepping into that role, that mindset of like, I want more from my life, and I'm after a mission that, maybe no one understands yet, but that's what makes it special too. Is even when no one understands it, it's like you do, and that's all that matters. And it just like the more that you understand like your dreams and your goals, the more that you understand yourself, and you can, at the end of the day, I feel like going after your dreams is like literally the best thing that anybody can do. And I'm not saying that in like, oh, it's easy, because it's not gonna be easy. But maybe that's a point in a way. Like maybe it being hard is like a good thing, because when you do win after so long, or maybe you might get it like sooner than you think. Like those wins definitely feel better. And if there's one thing that I gotta remind myself too, is that most of the time, like it is most of the time you're gonna lose. I feel like 80%, 90% of the time you're gonna lose. 10% of that is just, it's wins, like small wins, and then it just ends up being more and more and more, and then and you get to the point to where it's like, oh shit, like I'm here now, So it just, you made it this far, you might as well just keep going with it and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, that's all I got. Peace out.